Hello and welcome back to the channel. My name is VOLPE and today we're going to be going over my song request. Okay. Now here's the thing, I'm only going to be going over the first drop here today for free on my YouTube channel. If you want to see the second drop, third drop, the breakdowns, the intro, etc., we will go over that over on my Patreon, which I had just relaunched for the easy, accessible, affordable price of $12. You're going to get monthly track breakdowns, you're going to get monthly sample packs, you also get the backlog of all the stuff from my previous version of my Patreon. So there's multiple, like, production breakdowns on there, as well as samples. Like what? Easy deal, you can't go wrong. So come over, join the Patreon today.
Hit 'em with the shit that go like.
And the pre-drop is basically the entire reason this song exists. This is the idea that I had in the shower. Right behind this camera, actually, is a wall that leads into my bathroom. And I was in there, I was washing my hair, and I just started humming, wait, what the shit that go like ba da da. And if we go full genius lyric breakdown on this right now, honestly, the reason that this song exists and the meaning behind the lyrics and all that, it comes down to a big nod to the community itself in EDM, this rave community. You hear it in all genres, but especially in dubstep and in bass music, you hear people yelling at the top of their lungs the flows and rhythms to drops. For example, which is the reason that this song exists, I had a song called Happy Song that was really taking off within my community. And when I would play the song out at shows, the song goes, this song makes me really happy. And since it's this catchy little rhythm, everyone at the shows would be screaming on the top of their lungs, this song makes me really happy. Ba 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 ba.
Song makes me really happy.
And it's something that we all naturally do. When I'm hearing songs being played by my favorite artists, when I'm watching sets, or even on stage playing songs, I'm up there yelling it. So I was like, hey, let's just throw that into a bass song. And obviously we ended up going more bass house route versus dubstep, but I think it sounded really cool and I'm really happy with how it turned out. Obviously it's been done before, I'm not the first to do it, but I just like the way that I integrated it with my specific sound. If we take a closer look, you're gonna see some cuts and fades, and that's not an accident. It's called vocal comping, which is technically new to Ableton as of, I believe, 11, where they added in take lanes for vocals, which is something that you see all the time in most genres of music. So if you're listening to my music, you're listening to Skrillex, Fred Again, Post Malone, Billie Eilish, Bring Me the Horizon, the list goes on. When you're listening to those songs, the hook, the chorus, the verse, the bridge, whatever it may be, there's a lot of takes that are chopped up and cut together to get the perfect take, because you just might like the way that you enunciated this certain word in the line more than the other take. So you'll take the first word of this and then the breath from this, and then you kind of just stitch them all together. It leads into this cute little okay sample.
Okay.
Which the track's popularity mainly coming from TikToks and Instagram reels of me playing it live. I'm on the mic going, okay. And I think some people don't know if I added this in after. This was always there. I was always saying okay on top of that. And I got so many comments that were like, you better keep the okay in. And I'm like,
okay.
I have to go and add the okay
In myself of me saying it, which leads us to
So this drop has a lot of layers for no good reason, to be honest. You could take out a bunch of them and it's still gonna sound good. I kind of went overboard on it. I'm not sure why. I think I was just kind of feeling it when I was working on it. I was like, no, more. So we start off with this first main bass layer. It's very hefty, has this kind of acid tone to it, but it's very gritty and in your face. And we're working with a spectral wavetable as well as an analog wavetable. That second oscillator, you can see it's set up an octave with semitones. That doesn't matter how you do that if you want to use octave or semitones. You don't have to take this so literally or so seriously. A lot of this is me messing around until something sounds good. That's how most of my stuff is made. But we're doing some FM from B in sync action, linked to a high pass as well as the sub on this LFO here. Most of the work is being done by two different elements here. Firstly being this filter, and secondly being the saturator. If we turn off the filter, you're going to have a huge difference. Most of that vowel is kind of gone out of it. You get that O back, that O sound, all due to that low pass here. And then the saturator is doing massive heavy lifting. Turn that off. With that saturator, it really brings out that grit. It gets a lot noisier, a lot buzzier, but it brings out that exact heaviness that we need. Aside from that, we do have some corpus set to string, but that's not important. It barely makes any difference. It's there, honestly, just kind of carelessly to keep it on. It's not making much of a difference. We have some chorus that does help spread it out. Some VR fat, the usual OTT Camel Crusher combo, 1-2 punch, and a little bit of EQ to boost the high end. And then I have a EQ8 at the end there just to cut out the lows. They could be combined into one. I work stupidly. Underneath that, we have this little whippy bass. If we take a look, they're very basic wavetables here, and we have the phaser doing a lot of work as well as this all pass. We turn those two off here, and you get a big difference at that point. A lot of it being that all pass, to be honest. It's just there as a nice layer underneath. You know, helps keep that core note pattern. We also have the chorus, the VR fat, the usual OTT Camel Crusher, all that stuff. Sitting pretty quietly in comparison to that main bass. But then we add some additional layers, like some strings, just to add some tension. And then the main secondary layer to this, which is the harmony. It's pretty quiet, but you can hear it, and it ends up being the basis for the second drop as well. Now, if you're staring at this and you're like, I just saw this patch, is because, you know, most of it is the same as the prior patches that we've been looking at. Because the way that I approach sound design is I make a sound, and I save it as an instrument rack, and then I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go back to this and then use that as the initiate patch and the starting bass, and then just rework a bunch of things and change filters and stuff, and then from there you get a new sound. That's the way that I like to work. More FM and sync action here. Most of the sound coming out of the EQ here. Without it, you start losing a lot of it. Mainly due to this low cut here at about 200 hertz. There's a bit of texture coming in too from this corpus. You start to hear a lot of that low end grit get removed without it, and that's due to the plate. It really thickens it nicely. And I know you're thinking, that's not too many layers. It keeps going. I'm sorry. We have a VPS Avenger saw sound here. Very noisy without any effects built into the synth as well here. Nice and dry with the OTT Camel Crusher combo. And then guess what? We still go with another saw from VPS Avenger. Why did I do this? I'm pretty sure I was just trying to like replicate like just that, you know, bass house kind of sound that has been popular over the years with saws. And I was like, I'm just going to throw saw layers on so it's more bass housey. And now it's overboard. It's ridiculous. You don't need to do all this. And this one's a lot more buzzy, but they're just saws. And then all together you get this nice little, which if you heard very closely there, you might hear this little clicky sound, which is just there. It's so far in the back, I doubt anyone can actually hear it when you're listening to the whole song, especially because now on those little turnarounds, you have the vocal here. Which I love how this sounds with a little altar boy on here. We have the formant down an octave as well as the actual pitch down an octave. Lots of distortion on here as well. The way they hit him with the sounds, oof, it just hits my ear nicely, a little bit of ear candy. And what I like about this is it really sounds like it's a sample. And what I mean by that is it sounds like I sampled it from something else. It has like this recording element sound to it that I can't put my finger on. I think due to the saturation in Little Altar Boy as well as the cabinet, it's just really, ooh, it feels good. It feels good. But that's basically the first half of the first drop. Moving into the second half, I wanted to copy paste it because it's such a memorable melody that I wanted to keep it going. So how do you evolve that and make it not exactly the same or overly repetitive? You do a couple things like add some extra percussion or add a riser or change the warp setting of the bass so it kind of sounds like it's higher this time. And I did all of those for this section. First things first, we have this little Moomba percussion, which honestly, it's just a kick drum. Just faded, cut, and you know, thrown into the right spots. It adds some extra personality. It also heightens the energy as well. It keeps things kind of flowing nicely and it doesn't let it drag. In terms of the basses, we do have some automation in the oscillator's filter, being that high pass on that main bass, it goes up a bit. So from here, then higher. A lot whinier this time around. That way it just feels like it's progressing and it's not just, you know, going dull and stale and just the same the entire time. But of course we have to have a little nod to a lot of famous tech house and just obliterate use of a laser. Also, I guess a laser beam reference as well. But is it house music if it doesn't have that laser sample? Because I don't think it actually is. And I know before you get in here, it's not house music, it's bass house. It's a subgenre of house. Chillax, it's fine. The vocal is higher now from an octave up, and we have a couple of real risers in here. We have this one, just slowly pitching up, as well as this one, basically following the same exact thing. And then we have this super auto-tuned, kind of spooky sounding version of the vocal in the background that I don't even know if you can really hear in full context. You have to really be listening for it to actually hear it. We take everything out for just the beat and add in my signature growl from Massive that I've been using for years now. I think like 2015 or so. Which, if it doesn't sound familiar, is probably because I usually use it in a lower pitch. Something more like that. If you looked at this preset, you'd be confused at how it sounds like this, because it completely just ignores the laws of sounds and frequencies and physics and gravity and just everything in this life. It's truly a crime of a preset when you open that patch up. It's disgusting. And that there takes us out of the first drop into the breakdown. Hold on a second. Unfortunately, this is the end of the video for you guys, but if you want to watch the second drop, the third drop, the intro, the breakdown, all of that, plus get monthly sample packs, monthly production tutorial breakdowns on my music, and you get the backlog of samples, MIDI patterns, other production breakdowns of older songs. The list just goes on. Then head over to my Patreon at patreon.com/RayVolpe. Join for just a low price of
$12.
Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I'm gonna definitely be more active on this channel. We're gonna be posting some more here and there. So give it a subscribe, give the video a like, you know, the whole usual shebang, and I'll see you guys soon. Come see me on tour, because guess what? We're about to announce one. What?